My entitled wife cheated and accused me of cheating, falsely reported I physically abused her and our kids to take away the kids and abused them. So I hired a PI, proved my innocence, and won the case. Now she came back begging to reconcile, and my mom took my ex's side and demanded I reconcile and suck it up. So I disowned her, and Dad divorced her. Almost 2 years ago, my entire world flipped. My ex left for a girls' trip with her mom and sisters. We had 2 young kids together. My son was 8, my daughter 6, and I stayed back home with them like we agreed. I wasn't worried about anything. I kissed her goodbye, told her to have fun, made pancakes with the kids, and figured life would roll on as normal. The night before she was due home, I got a message from her. It just said, "I know what you did. I want you gone before I get back." No explanation. No response when I tried to call. Texts ignored. Voicemails left unanswered. She never replied. I didn't leave. Because I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. I hadn't done anything. I figured it was a mistake. A misunderstanding. Maybe even something she sent by accident. But when she came home, I got the answer. She charged through the door like a wrecking ball and exploded. She was screaming, red in the face, and shaking. She accused me of sleeping with her friend. She said her friend told her everything about our affair, and that I'd had at least one other woman in our house while she was gone. Her eyes were wild with betrayal. She was crying and yelling, pointing fingers, and getting in my face like she was about to hit me. I told her over and over that it wasn't true. That I never touched her friend. That I hadn't cheated on her with anyone. That I would never do that to her or our family. She didn't care. Her mind was made up. She wasn't interested in facts, just in rage. Our fight dragged on for days. And when I realized there was no reaching her, I finally told her, "If you seriously believe I could do that, if you believe that easily and throw away our life so quickly, then maybe you should leave." And she did. She packed her things and took the kids. A week later, I was served with divorce papers. I thought that was rock bottom. I thought it couldn't get worse than your wife believing a lie and walking away from the family you built together. But that was just the beginning. A few days later, the cops showed up at my door. They asked if I was my name. Then they said they had a court order. My wife had filed an emergency motion claiming I was physically abusive to her and our children. She said she feared for their safety and wanted temporary full custody. I was stunned. She never accused me of hitting her or our kids. Never once. Not even in the fight about the cheating. But now she had filed a whole list of allegations that made me look like a monster. The cops told me not to resist, that they weren't arresting me, just enforcing the court's temporary decision. I stood there as my kids were taken from me. My daughter cried. My son kept asking what was happening. I couldn't answer. I didn't see them again for 5 months. Those 5 months were hell. My lawyer and I fought tooth and nail to reverse the emergency order. But every time we made progress, she filed something new. She claimed I was hiding money from her. That I had threatened her during our marriage. That the kids were scared of me. It was all bullshit, but it bogged the process down. Meanwhile, I was alone. I didn't care about the divorce at that point. I didn't care that my ex had moved in with her mom, or that her friends were treating me like a pariah. I just wanted to see my kids again. When the judge finally ruled that I could have supervised weekend visitation, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in months. It was something. A chance. I remember the exact moment they walked into that visitation center. My daughter saw me and ran full speed, sobbing so loud the whole room turned. They clung to me like they were afraid I'd disappear again. We didn't let go for 10 minutes. That first weekend, they were full of stories. So many things they'd been dying to tell me. Little details that made no sense at first, but hit me like a hammer once I started piecing it together. My son said, "Mom told us you don't love us anymore." My daughter said she thought I left because I was mad at them. That broke me. Every visit, they said more. More lies they'd been told. More things they'd seen. Conversations they'd overheard. I started recording everything, not to use it against her, but to protect them. To have something real in case it got worse. Eventually, I took those recordings to my lawyer. He said if we were going to push back, we needed more than the kids' words. We needed something that couldn't be spun in court. We needed proof. That's when I hired a private investigator. I didn't know what I expected to find. Part of me hoped it would be nothing. But the PI found everything. He got footage, phone records, witness statements, proof that she'd lied under oath, that she'd been manipulating the system to punish me. And he found out that during the entire divorce process, she was seeing someone new had been for months. A guy she'd started talking to just before the girls' trip. She hadn't just believed a lie about me cheating. She needed to believe it. Because she was already doing the same thing. I took everything we had and went back to court. We filed a motion to amend the custody arrangement. We asked for 50/50ths and outlined the damage her lies had caused not just to me, but to the kids. And that's where things started to change. The first full week my kids were back with me was the best I'd felt in 2 years. It wasn't perfect, they were still adjusting, still asking questions I couldn't answer. But it was finally normal again. I picked them up from school, helped them with homework, made pancakes on Saturday mornings, read bedtime stories. They were safe. That's all I cared about. It didn't matter that she'd destroyed our marriage. It didn't matter that she tried to ruin me. I had my kids back. And that meant everything. I tried to ignore her. Every pickup and drop-off was dry and mechanical. Civil, but cold. She kept her new boyfriend away from the kids, at least, which I was grateful for. I didn't want to make things harder on them than they already were. But then I heard about the party. A mutual friend called me. Not someone I'd stayed close to during the divorce, no one really stuck around, but someone who knew enough to realize I deserved to know what happened. They said there'd been a party the week before. A housewarming or something. My ex was there with her boyfriend, and so was the friend she originally accused me of sleeping with. Apparently, this friend got hammered. Like fall down, slurring, embarrassing kind of drunk. And in the middle of the party, she started bragging. She said, and I quote, "You should thank me, you know. You wouldn't have your man if I hadn't blown up her marriage." My ex, according to this friend of mine, looked at her and said, "You mean by lying about them having an affair?" The friend laughed. She said she couldn't believe how easy it was. That she made the whole thing up just to get me to leave my wife. That she thought it would take more effort, but my ex believed it instantly, like a damn idiot. Then she added, "And the funniest part? Even after all that, he still wouldn't sleep with me." That's when it exploded. My ex apparently lunged at her. There was hair pulling, screaming, and people trying to break them up. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. But 3 separate people told me almost the exact same version of the story. So now she knows. She knows she ended our marriage, tore our family apart, and tried to destroy my reputation, all because someone wanted to get in my pants. And she fell for it. I didn't respond to the messages at first. But then they kept coming. Texts, calls, emails. She started showing up at my parents' house, telling them she'd made a mistake, that she was sorry, that she wanted to fix things, rebuild our family. Her parents reached out. Her friends. All of them suddenly wanted to clear the air and make things right. I shut them all down. Every last one of them. Because where were they when I was being dragged through the mud? When I was being accused of abuse, infidelity, and neglect? When I couldn't see my kids for 5 months? Not one of them called to ask if it was true. They just assumed it was. They ghosted me, blocked me, let me drown. And now that the truth's out, now they want to play peacemaker. No, thanks. They're dead to me. If not for my kids, my ex would be too. Not because she believed a lie, but because she used our kids as a weapon. That's the part I can't forgive. The lies were one thing. But the way she ripped them away from me, poisoned them against me, and made them think I abandoned them, that's unforgivable. I thought that would be the end of it. I figured eventually she'd give up. Move on. Focus on her new relationship. But she didn't. Instead, she kept going to my parents. My dad didn't entertain her. He told her to F off. But my mom, she folded. She started calling me, asking if maybe we could try counseling. If we could talk, at least for the kids. She said the kids were happier when we were together. That it's better for them to be raised in a 2-parent home. That I needed to let go of the past for their sake. She said, "I know she hurt you, but you love your kids. Don't let your resentment keep them from having the family they deserve." And I lost it. I said, "You're siding with the person who took your grandkids from me based on lies. You're asking me to put aside years of betrayal and humiliation just to keep up appearances." She cried. She said she didn't mean it like that. That she just wanted what was best. But the damage was done. I haven't spoken to her in over a week. And I hate that. I hate that she made me feel like I have to choose between my own mother and my own boundaries. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired. I spent 2 years fighting. For my kids. For my name. for my sanity. And now that I've finally rebuilt something that works, she wants me to risk it all just to make my ex feel better about herself. No, absolutely not. But now I feel this growing distance from my mom. I don't want to cut her off. I really don't. But I'm close. Closer than I ever thought I'd be. So that's why I'm here. How do I make her understand that this isn't just about hurt feelings? That pushing me to forgive my ex doesn't make her a peacekeeper, it makes her part of the problem. How do I explain that I'm not being petty, I'm protecting myself and my kids? Comments. Comment 1. Even if you had been a cheating piece of SHT, the way she used your kids as weapons. Effing unforgivable. That's not hurt feelings. That's calculated emotional abuse towards your children. And your mom needs to pull her head out of her arse if she thinks your ex deserves a second chance. You need to be blunt with her. If you keep siding with a woman who tried to destroy me, then you can watch the door close behind you too. Period. End of discussion. Comment 2. Tell your mom straight up. This is a hard boundary. If you bring her up again, if you keep inviting her into my life, I'm cutting you off. You're not being cruel, you're protecting your peace. Your mom might be soft-hearted, but soft hearts break SHT when they ignore reality. Sometimes loving someone means telling them to shut the F up and stay in their lane. Comment 3. Your mom needs to understand that your ex didn't just leave you, she nuked the entire effing bridge while your kids were standing on it. There is no coming back from that. And if your mom can't see how deep that betrayal runs, maybe she doesn't deserve full access to your life either. You didn't end this marriage. Your ex did by choice, by lies, and with no goddamn regard for the kids she claims to love. And yeah, F that friend too. I hope karma hits her like a truck. Update. So, I wasn't planning on updating, but a few things have blown up since my last post. And I've seen a lot of people questioning how police could just show up and take my kids. Let me clear the air there first, because the last thing I want is someone thinking this part of the story was fake or exaggerated. When my ex came back from that girl's trip and accused me of cheating, she didn't just scream and file for divorce. She also filed for an emergency custody order through the court. She lied. Said I was physically abusive. Said the kids were scared of me. Claimed there was financial abuse and emotional volatility. And when you file an emergency motion like that, especially in family court, the accused doesn't get a chance to defend themselves before the temporary order is issued. That's what happened. A judge saw her motion, bought her bullshit, and signed off on a temporary emergency custody order. And that is what the police were enforcing. They didn't just randomly show up and rip my kids away from me because my ex made a call. They had paperwork. It was legal bullshit, yes, but still legal. So that's that. Now to the real reason I'm back. In my last post, I explained how my mom had been pushing for me to forgive my ex, go to therapy, be the bigger person, and all that crap. I told her calmly but firmly that it was not happening. I told her I wouldn't forgive someone who used our kids as pawns in her personal drama. I thought I got through to her. Nope. She went ballistic. About a week after our last conversation, she invited me to what she called a family dinner. I figured maybe she wanted to apologize or talk about something related to the kids. I showed up, and my ex was there, sitting at the table like she belonged. I turned around and walked out. My mom followed me to the driveway, crying, begging me to come back in, telling me this was a chance to heal, to rebuild, for the kids. I told her point blank, this isn't for the kids. This is for you. You can't stand the idea that I'm not living in your idea of a perfect little family anymore. You're trying to force a broken puzzle piece back into place, and I'm done. I left, blocked her number. She tried texting my kids through her phone. I blocked her number on their phones too. Told the kids gently that grandma needed some time to cool off and reflect. A few days later, she showed up at my house. Knocked on the door for almost 10 minutes straight. I didn't answer. Then she started yelling through the door, begging me to let her explain. I opened it just long enough to say, "You've picked your side. Stay there." And I closed it again. She hasn't been back since. But the part I didn't see coming. My dad called me a week later, asking if I could meet him for a drink. We sat down, and he told me he was filing for divorce. He said their marriage had been rocky for years, but he stuck it out because he didn't want to break up the family. He said the way my mom handled all of this was his final straw. I didn't know what to say. I just nodded. I get it now. I understand how someone can reach their limit. How loyalty becomes self-destruction if you don't draw a line. He told me he was proud of me. That I did what he hadn't. I should have cut the cord a long time ago. So yeah, That's where things stand with my parents. My mom and I are done. My dad and I are closer than we've ever been. As for my ex, she's still trying, still texting me, still asking if we can talk or figure something out for the kids, still trying to paint this image of a family she smashed with her own hands. I don't respond. Not beyond basic pickup/drop-off coordination. I don't badmouth her in front of the kids. I just don't give a F anymore. You know what the opposite of love is? It's not hate. It's nothing. It's indifference. And that's where I am now. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm just done. I tell my kids the truth in age-appropriate doses. I never bash their mom. I never feed them poison. I just let them see reality for themselves. And they are. Slowly but surely. They love their mom. And they should. That's their mother. But I know they trust me now. I know they see how hard I fought to be in their lives, to protect their peace, even when it cost me mine. And to anyone out there dealing with a parent like mine, just remember this. Your peace is not up for negotiation. You don't owe anyone forgiveness just because it would make them more comfortable. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I didn't burn this bridge. But I'll be damned if I let anyone drag me back across it. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.